Yo, what's happening, man? It's your boy Rundown. If you're depressed watching your favorite sports team on the football field, but you just can't stop buying their gear, then congratulations. You might be a Raiders fan. But listen, man, don't trip. I got the perfect thing for you, man. Here at the Rundown, we have partnered with Fanatics to bring the nation some of the freshest Raider gear that you can get your hands on. I'm talking jerseys, I'm talking hats, and you know it's starting to get chilly out here, so it's best to grab you some drip for the frosty season while you're at it as well. So tap the link in the description down below, get you some fresh gear, man. Support the channel at the same time. It's a dub for you, dub for me, even though we're not getting that many dubs on the field at the moment, man. So remember, man, tap the link down below in the description to get you some fresh Raiders gear from Fanatics. Now let's get back to the show. Man, what's going on? What's happening with my Raider family, man? You are back for another episode here of the Raider Rundown, man. And today, look, we have a very, very special episode. You know, it's Thanksgiving week, so we had to come with some Thanksgiving heat, right? So today, we have a very special guest, none other than Murf from Raiders Fan Radio in the building. But before we get down with that, let's go ahead. Let's play this funky music. Make sure you guys are tapping in with the comment section. Today going to be tough for me to get to it, but regardless of it, man, much love to everybody. So let's get this funky music started and let's get the show cracking.
Go get in your bed. Sorry.
sir, man. What's going on, man? What's the deal? I already know how that goes, man. You already know what it is. You are back for another episode here of the Raider Rundown, man. For your regularly scheduled programming, make sure you guys are tapping on that like button, on the subscribe button, and every time we have a guest, make sure you show that love that way as well, man. But if you don't already know, you are going to know. Today we are joined by none other than one of the best Raider content creators and podcasters out there, man. I really, really respect this guy's opinion, man, and I really, really respect what he has to say. That's why today, man, we're gonna have a very, very great conversation about the Raiders. But as you can see to the side of me, got none other than Murf from Raiders Fan Radio, man. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, man. It's the season of being thankful, and I'm thankful for everything other than our football team. I'm thankful for our fan base, though, which keeps me in this thing. And that's the, I always say when it comes to us getting on these microphones, like we might be hardcore Raider fans, guys like you and I that are, getting on here and making shows and doing this stuff. The people that are really hardcore are the folks that are in the chat that are willing to freaking dig in and watch a couple of knuckleheads spew their opinions about the Raiders, in their existence. And so we appreciate everybody that's in there. And I couldn't be more thankful for what we do and what we're privileged to do. And the fact that people indulge us and support our channels and support our foundations and businesses and all the things that are associated with this. I cannot thank them enough, man. Thank you to everybody that's in your chat room tonight. And thank you to you for having me, man. Appreciate you checking in with me for Thanksgiving weekend, and glad to be here.
Yeah, 100%, man. This is a show long time in the making. I know you're a busy man, so definitely, we had to try to get this scheduled and on the books. So glad we can finally do that. And hey, what better way than Thanksgiving week? Like I said, man, I love to do something special for some of the holidays. And like you said, I'm thankful for everybody that's in the chat, man. We're growing. We very close to 3K for the end of the season. That's my goal, man. Trying to get 3K subs. So we're close. But thankful for everybody that's here, man. Thankful for having this conversation as well. But you prefaced it as well by saying I'm not thankful for watching our team on Sunday or whatever day of the week we might play, because right now it's very tough, man. It's very tough. You know how it is in this content game, man. It'd be much easier. We come out here, we're good. We 8-2 and we chipper. It's much easier to come out here and talk about this stuff. But it seems like, I've had my channel for 3 years, and I can only imagine you've had yours for longer, where it's like we come out here and we have to talk about the same dribble, year in and year out. So today kind of is about getting them frustrations out and kind of talking about what we've seen so far. Where can we go from here, if so, and steps like that. So my first question to you would be, up to this point, right? Up to this point, is this what you have expected from the Raiders up to this point? I know, of course, you're probably disappointed, but in your words, what are you seeing on the football field?
No, this is not what I expected at all. And, after last year, I loved Antonio Pierce being our head coach. I loved and follow me here. Y'all don't just start jumping on comments right away. Follow me here. I loved coming out of his interim year. He walks off the field beating the Broncos last game of the season. Me and the rest of the RFR crew, Michelle and Jeff, I'd like to think that we started the AP chant and there at Allegiant Stadium and meant it, said it with all of our chest and felt good about that man and what he was going to bring the Raideriness back to being the Raiders. And then unfortunately, you got a 10-game losing streak in the middle of the season, a lot of questionable game day decisions. And so it was time. It was time to move on from him, even though that I still love him, who he is as a man and what he brought to the table in terms of returning the Raiders back to some of its roots. But that said, he just wasn't a good game day coach, or at least not yet. He might be one day, but that day is not today. All that said, so coming out of last year, I was like, listen, I'm not buying in again. I'm 52 years old, dude. I'm going to be 53 this next year. And I'm like, I've seen this play out one too many times. I'm not going to get sucked in. I'm not going to search for positivity in areas where it hasn't been proven yet. I've been accused on, so you said you've been doing it 3. I've been doing it 14 now. 10 of it Raiders Fan Radio, so when we look at when we look at like what some of the comments have been in the past, I've been called a bootlicker. I've been called an apologist. I've been called, a blind optimist. I've been called everything negative when it comes to looking for the good in the Raiders. And so after last year, I thought, okay, this is it. I'm finally done. Like, I'm not going to be the positive guy. And until I see it, until there's evidence, until it's something tangible that's been proven on the field. And sure enough, what happened to me in this offseason? I was sold a bill of goods. All these damn snake oil salesmen that are in the building now and Henderson sold me on everything. They sold me on Geno Smith. They sold me on Pete Carroll. They sold me on everything. And then now, once again, not only are we bad, we're historically bad. And, when we compare it to the 2006 season, there was not a lot of hope back then. Mm-hmm. And you can tell it right out of the gate in 06 that things were not going well, but we had a badass defense. And people like to say like, oh my gosh, like, the teams that we were playing didn't have to put up a lot of points. And so they backed off and blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. A bad offense will put your defense in a bad position. And that defense continually put up numbers in a positive way. And that 2006 defense was pretty strong. And so even during that, it was like, okay, well, at least there's something going right. This Raider team, there ain't shit going right. And I've gotten to the point now, my optimism is shot. But bro, I don't have anything left. I kind of feel like it's one of those things where it's like, I was talking to my cousin yesterday because it was Thanksgiving. We were talking and he's been a guy I founded Raiders Fan Radio with, and he's been tapping into some of our shows recently. And he's like, bro, I can't believe how bad you're down. Like, I've never heard you like this. And he's like, the Raiders have fucked up I can swear on the show, right? Yeah. Okay.
No, of course. Okay.
All right. So he's like, the Raiders have fucked up if they've lost you. And like, that's where I'm at, is that they have lost me. And we'll get into more and more of it. I'm rambling at this point, but like, this is not what I expected. To answer your question, not what I expected by any means, but it's also, though, not surprising. And shame on me for being let down once again. And, the Raiders have relieved me from the burden of that for a very long time.
Yeah, that's, the last part of what it is the shameful part for me, because it's like, I just turned 27 this year, right? So for me personally, like when I look at my fandom and what's been in it in my whole entire life, it's been nothing but terrible football. You know what I mean? Just terrible football. And honestly, I'm trying to grasp some hope. And this year, I thought we'd find a floor. I never thought we'd maybe make the playoffs, but you find a floor. Maybe you're one of them scrappy teams, right? But for us to look this bad, it is mind-boggling to me. The things that an experienced coach is doing is mind-boggling to me. Now, I'll present you this, and I definitely want to get your opinion on it. I was one of the people, right? I wanted to hire AP, of course, but then I wanted also to keep him this second year. I also wanted to give him a second year to see what he had learned and to see if he can learn himself in, or he could teach himself things that he didn't know the first year, right? So for me, I was like, okay, let's give AP this another year. If we look like this again, then of course it's an easy fix for me to say like, all right, well, we definitely need to find another coach. You know what I mean? That's pretty easy money. But it seemed that after Ben Johnson went to the Bears, we've been scrambling, right? We were scrambling after that. We had weird candidates, Vance Joseph, guy from the goddamn Chiefs, you look at him, Spagnuolo, and now it's like, you settle on Pete Carroll, but it's like, it seems like from the jump, this was all rushed. Now, from that standpoint, what would you say for them having to maybe have kept AP and go with that another year instead of doing this Pete Carroll thing?
I mean, hindsight's 2020, so if you gave me the choice of AP's version of the Raiders in 2024 versus the Pete Carroll version in 2025, yeah, I would take that all day long. At least AP was up front. I feel like that this regime that's in now and including Pete, like, you're either completely full of shit completely senile or delusional. Like I don't know which one of those is worse. It's like we're being lied to essentially. I mean, when he gets to the podium and he says that we're getting ready to do something really good, I'm like, what are you watching? Are you like? I'm sorry, I'm just losing respect on the day.
Yep.
Every time I see that man go to the podium, I lose more and more respect for him. Our quarterback's now starting to melt down. It's just a disaster. It's regression. And if you're a supposedly Hall of Fame coach, which I think is questionable at best, you're supposedly a Hall of Fame coach, then this team shouldn't be this bad. You should be regressing this hard. You shouldn't be in this level of miscommunication. Like it doesn't make any damn sense to me, man. So like, sure, I would rather have AP back, but I also understand that like moving on from him was also the right choice. Just like, and I'll give you another example. Moving on from Derek Carr was the right choice. Now, what they did as a result,
that was right,
was shit. Like it was a terrible level of or a series of choice making that they participated in.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Murf, but correct me if I'm wrong. When you move on from your franchise quarterback, you damn near have to immediately replace him. You can't muddle around. You got to immediately replace your franchise quarterback if that's what you're gonna do.
I 100% agree. And that's where I say that the reason Tom Telesco is not our general manager is not because of anything other than two very specific reasons. He didn't re-sign Josh Jacobs and he didn't get us a goddamn quarterback. And so he was a one and done. You've got to replace your quarterback. And so, freaking McDaniels, Mr. Fat Ears, and Ziegler, his puppet, they had the luxury of a second year. And so, but when you look at the plan after Derek Carr, like it was terrible. But so anyways, I would say same thing with AP, same thing with Derek Carr. Like it was time and it was best for all parties to move on. But the decision-making as a result of those actions has been absolute a train wreck ever since then. And so here we are with a team that's should be in a full rebuild, is in a moderate rebuild, and with a 75-year-old coach and a 35-year-old quarterback. Like, what the fuck are we doing? It doesn't make any
sense. Nothing aligns. You know what I mean? And this is where for this show today, we're going to climb up the ladder, right? So we'll start with the coaching staff and we'll climb up to the very tip top, which I do feel there is some blame to have at the very tip top too, but keeping it on the coaching side, right? So current event news, and shout out to everybody in the chat first and foremost, right? I would definitely be getting to the chat if I was in my normal setup. Everybody that is here, that is a normal subscriber, you already know this ain't my normal setup. We doing something different, but it's kind of hard for me to get to the comment section. I see everybody. Shout out to my guy Death Pile Picker, man. Shout out to 805 in the channel, man. I saw a new subscriber as well. Let me see. Hold on. Let me go up. I believe it was Van City Raider, man. New subscriber to the channel. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, man. We are on the road to 3K, man. Once we hit that, we doing a jersey giveaway. But everybody, appreciate you for tapping in. If you are new, man, hit that like button. But if you're new to Murf as well, you know what I always say, man. Rundown fam, show that love that way as well. But okay, continuing on with the conversation, we talking about the coaching staff right now. Current event news: Chip Kelly got fired. Right, Chip Kelly was fired. Now, I personally think as a nation, we get adrenaline rushes off these type of things, right? We get adrenaline rushes off these type of things where you fire a coordinator. Now, all of a sudden, that's the Band-Aid. Oh, it was him. It was all him. Oh, man, he was trash. Now, when we get out here, we're going to look like how we supposed to look. And realistically, because I've been having this conversation with my pops as well. It's Thanksgiving, so we having the family arguments. And he's of that mindset, right? Like, well, you hear the stories about Chip, right? Well, Chip's calling this and Chip's doing these things and all the extra. I'm like, you really? Number one, I can't believe that a coach of Chip's caliber is really doing the things that's being accused of him. I really cannot believe that. It's hard for me to believe that. But, of the mindset that offense wasn't good. But I'm still not of that mindset that just because he got fired, everything's going to be immediately fixed either. You know what I mean? But so what's your mindset on the Chip Kelly firing? Do you think it fixes some things, or you know what I mean? Because now Greg Olson is in charge, and this is our third go around?
I don't think it fixes shit. I think that he was held as an absolute scapegoat. I think that Chip Kelly was forced upon Pete Carroll. I don't think that he was his. I don't think he hired his staff now at this point. And as we crawl up the ladder, we're going to find more and more dysfunction as we go up the ladder. But I think Pete Kelly was thrust into Pete Carroll's lap. I don't think those guys were on the same page since day one. And I think that in order to protect his guys, and his guys being his two sons, so his run game coordinating son and his offensive line coaching son, and his third son, which is Geno Smith, apparently, to protect those guys, Chip Kelly got fired, and it has been I'll save the whole media rant because I don't want to get into that yet, maybe later or whatever, but if we have time. But it was posed in
I know what you're talking about. We're going to get into it for sure.
All right. Well, it was set up in the local media that there were more bosses in play than maybe the ones that we are as fans and as people that watch this team regularly are wanting to hold accountable. And so it was like, this is all the Chip Kelly firing is one giant blame shift. And, I didn't get, frankly, the adrenaline rush from it. Because the adrenaline rush from me is going to be Pete Carroll finding his ass out of the building. Like, that's the one. And take Geno with you. Like, those two guys, like, send their ass packing. And then that will be a day where I'll feel better about the direction of the Las Vegas Raiders. But yeah, no, the Chip Kelly thing, that was just like, okay. Like, all right, on to the next thing. Here comes Greg Olsen again, and I'll say this real quick too. Like, he's like the freaking, like, I don't know how that guy's always available, but I will say this. I've had the good fortune. This is not me trying to drop names. Frank Sinatra told me never be a name dropper. But I've had the good fortune of meeting Greg Olsen 3 different occasions. All 3 times. Incredibly nice man. Asked about our podcast. Asked how things are going. Hey, man, remembers us when we see him. Like, so Greg Olsen, like, I'm kind of rooting for him. I think that what he's up against, I think is insurmountable at this point. But sure, I'd like to see him do well because he's seemingly always there to, be the parachute for the Raiders when things go wrong.
Yeah, 100%. Now, for me, I have no ill will towards Greg Olsen because at the end of the day, I personally think he kind of went back home after he was named OC and kind of was like, God damn it. Like, I personally think he was mad about it because I wouldn't want to be no OC right now. And this is the 3rd time I'm being thrust in a shitty position. So it's like, all right, bro, like, I guess, I guess I'll take the job. There are some people that seem to think that all the dysfunction really fell on Chip and that's it, and then people look at the numbers. Oh, well, the Raiders defense is ranked 14th and things like that. It's more than that. Right. It's more than that. Yes, the offense was bad. Right. Yes, the offense was bad. But there are certain things to me for Pete Carroll that I can point to, and this coaching staff I can point to where it's like they definitely need some culpability in. All right. And Murf, you can tell me if I'm wrong. If in a normal circumstance, when the offensive coordinator gets fired and you just gave up 10 sacks, you're probably firing the O-line coach too. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, in fact, that with as many sacks as Geno has taken this year and as many challenges that we've had in the run game this year, that would be the first one. Like that would have been long before offensive coordinator. But yeah, if you're going to fire your offensive coordinator, finally, then take the guys that went along with him that caused that dysfunction. But here's the thing is that, as we know, the head coach is the one that hired these position coaches. It wasn't the offensive coordinator. He had nothing to do with hiring the Carroll brothers. So, you know what I'm saying? So, absolutely. That under normal circumstances, which seemingly our Raiders can't ever operate under normal circumstances. But, that's so you get sorry. With that, you get with where we're at now. I'll spit it out eventually.
Now, this is where I'm at, right? So we can detail all these things. Now, the next thing I'll detail, right, that I just, we just talking ball at this point, that I cannot stand. It comes to the roster construction / movement of what we do. So it's like when he talks about compete, I don't feel that compete thing is real. It don't seem real to me right now. Do you have a problem with the way he's managing the roster and the young players right now?
100% I do. And the whole compete thing, I think is like, it was cool in the beginning. It was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. Like it's, there's going to always be constant competition. There's going to be, ping pong tables and basketball hoops and like always things to where the guys are competing nonstop when they're in the building at Henderson. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And that's a cool concept, but then it only applies to certain people. And so it's like, and so when the whole theme of this 2025 Raiders team is compete, well, how about we compete on the field? That'd be cool. Like, what a concept, man.
Right.
Like, instead of making these guys earn their jobs every week, like, how about we let it come down to talent and invest into the future of what's going to go on with this organization at this point when nothing else is out there. Like, there's no recovery to be had here. And so it doesn't make sense. And it's a lot of things about this season and this Raiders team, and that makes me and you and everybody else have such a hard time with, is that nothing makes sense. It doesn't make sense when it comes to the younger players. To answer your question, why would you draft a wide receiver in the second round and then bring in a 33-year-old vet to take a majority of the snaps away from that second round pick? Why would you draft 2 third-round offensive linemen and they collectively have 1 snap heading into the 12th week of the season? It doesn't make sense. And so I'm totally with you. Like, I don't understand not only like why they drafted the way that they did, but what's the problem now at this point with playing younger players? When you hear Pete Carroll say, like, we got to go with the guy who give us the best chance to win or blah, 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 whatever. Well, you're not winning. And not only are you not winning, you're getting the ever-loving shit kicked out of you. So they're not even just losing the football games. They're losing them in dominant fashion. Like, it's unbelievable that the level of dysfunction that's going on with this football team, and I don't understand it at all. I don't get it.
And you highlight something that, it moves us into the next subject of it, right, when we go into it. But the next subject of it would be the head coach and GM alignment, right? And I would ask you, do you think they are aligned? But to stay on on that point real quick, it's like, when we watch games and Will Putnam and Jordan Meredith are absolutely getting lifted off their feet, right? Like, and they're literally getting babied. You know what I mean? I have a 10-month-old son. I lift him off his feet and pick him up real easy, right? And pick him up wherever he needs to go. That's exactly what Myles Garrett did last week. He lined up wherever he wanted to do and picked up anybody he wanted to pick up. So it's like when you see that and you're telling us that Caleb Rogers is worse than that, I start to question now, right? Like, did Pete lose his ability to evaluate talent properly? Like that's kind of like where I'm at. Like, what would your gauge or level be on that? Do you think he's evaluating this talent correctly? Like, that's my concern going forward with him too. Like, we're trying to go forward and give him more time, but he's not even evaluating the talent we have currently properly. So, like, what can we do going forward?
All right, that's a great question, and I've got some deep cuts for you. I don't think Pete's ever been a good talent evaluator. I think that when you look at his first 2 stints in the NFL, what was it? It was with the Patriots and the Jets, and they were shit. All right, then he goes to college. He gets bumped down because he can't get a job in the NFL anymore, so he gets bumped down to college, and one of the biggest recruiting scandals in the history of college football happens, and so they recruited talent with what? Money, with opportunity. He didn't evaluate talent. What did he do? He was a good recruiter. He was a good salesman. He presented a good opportunity, a good environment, and a hell of a lot of money. Okay, that's how that team was built. Then he goes to Seattle and he goes back into the NFL. Who built those teams? It wasn't Pete Carroll. It was John Schneider. John Schneider's the one that built those teams. You want to know who built the Legion of Boom? It was John Snyder, who built the Legion of Boom. You want to know who drafted Russell Wilson? You want to know who drafted all those guys? Tyler Lockett, freaking Doug Baldwin, you go on down the line. Those teams were built by freaking John Schneider. So all Pete had to do was just hold the reins. And in one of those Super Bowls, because he went to back-to-back ones, when he was holding the reins, he didn't fucking run Marshawn, and they lost the goddamn game. So I think that Pete Carroll, yeah, and now Pete has a downturn in Seattle, right? John Schneider can't provide him Hall of Fame levels of talent year in and year out, and Pete Carroll is unable to coach them up.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens? He comes to Vegas, and look at what we got. An absolute shit show. So you tell me, is that a Hall of Fame coach? No. Is that a productive and solid talent evaluator? Hell no. I don't, because he can't be. Because here's the thing. If you're a good talent evaluator and you look at Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant and you go, all right, these guys are good enough to be third-round picks. Well, if they're good enough to be third-round picks, they should be starting. Dylan Parham, right? Dylan Parham started.
Exactly.
Third round, first rounders and second rounders should be automatic starters. Third rounders should be
100%
minimum work into starting roles, at an absolute minimum be worked into the rotation, right? And we have seen
at least key players, right? Yeah, at least key players.
Right. At least key players. So if you haven't seen that at this point, well, then they way overdrafted them. So then that potentially could be on spy check. But then why would you, as Pete Carroll, who clearly has decision-making when it comes to the build of the roster, why would you endorse those two players getting drafted in the third round? You wouldn't. It's just like none of it makes sense. Darian Porter doesn't make sense. Like none of it makes sense. And so to answer your question, is he a good talent about it? He did. I don't even think, here's the thing. Al Davis was a brilliant talent evaluator that unfortunately lost his fastball as he got older and he was chasing a ring. So he was willing to do crazy ass shit. He was like me at the crap table at 3 a.m. at the frickin' at Manway and just throwing YOLO bets out there trying to make something for the night. That was Al Davis at the end of his life. So that said, Pete was never even that because he never had to be responsible for evaluating talent. He wasn't ever solely responsible for it. And so now it's like, clearly he's got roster control. So he is. And what are the Raiders? A pile of shit at this point, other than, on defense. On defense, it's Max Crosby. On offense, it's Brock Bowers. He wasn't responsible for either one of those two guys. And then you got Ashton Genty, who's in there running for his goddamn life. I mean, like outside of I genuinely asked this question. I know Colton Miller's hurt right now, but let me ask you a question. You've asked me a lot of questions. Let me ask you one. Outside
of course, come on.
Max Crosby, Colton Miller, who's hurt, JPJ, who's hurt, Ashton Genty, who his talent is not been able to shine in the way that we would all hoped it would because of all the challenges. Outside of that, who on this roster excites you?
Outside of them guys, right? Like you'd have to be a deep Raider fan like ourselves to be like, man, I like Darian Porter, but he don't see the fucking field that much. You know what I mean? So it's like, exactly. So if you're talking about things that are tangible and what we've seen, nobody, because it's like you can't. And the crazy part is, we can go into this. There were guys that were there, but since Pete has got here, I feel like guys have digressed or digressed. You know what I mean? To where it's like now we had guys like Palomar who looked good last year. He's not good anymore. We've moved him around positions and things like that. He's digressed. Now it's like, okay, now these are players we were excited about. Now they're not playing as well. So that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah. So I'm with you. Nobody.
Yeah, nobody. And the ones that have moved, that they decided to move on from in the offseason, look at all those guys. I saw John Jenkins flash across the screen today. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. I remember when he was in silver and black. You see Divine Diablo. You see Trayvon Merrick, although Trayvon Merrick is just punching people in the dick usually. But you see Robert Spillane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you see, no, I'm joking, but Merrick's made some plays, man. You see these guys on defense making these plays, and I'm like, this is what we did. We went to a bunch of veterans with 1-year contracts, Like, really? And I know, listen, and this is where, like, I to go back to the Derek and AP conversation, was like, I understood why in the moment the business decisions and the reason that they chose to move on from those players. I got it on paper. Trayvon Merritt got paid a whole bunch of money, right? Like those guys, I get it. They got paid. They got the bag, as you kids say. But that said, the choices to replace them were awful. They didn't draft to replace him. They brought in, and listen, I love Devin White. I've always liked Devin White as a player. I think he's fantastic. But when he has to be solely responsible for that second layer of the defense, he's just he's not there. He's at this point in his career, a really awesome complimentary guy. Like, can you imagine if it was him and Bob Spillane? That would have been pretty badass. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would have been a badass duo right there. I would have, hell yeah. And then Diablo playing on the other side like that. All right. Like, that would have freaking, that one probably would have played out pretty well. But anyway, so just once again, the choices they made, just, that makes sense.
No, it's 100%. This is the choices that we're making, man. I didn't mean to cut you off, my bad. But
no, please do.
Definitely. No, but definitely these things don't make sense. I point to a lot of things. It's easy for me. You're supposed to be a secondary. It's so easy to the point where we can break it down to one minute detail, Murf, where it's like you're telling me you're a secondary guru, but you can't see that Blue Kelly is getting toasted week in and week out, and that Darian Porter is actually playing better when he's in there. So that's what you're telling me? You know what I mean? It's like you're supposed to be the secondary guru, but we got safeties that were actually playing well last year. Let's not forget Palomau for the last maybe year and a half, 2 years was one of those players we were like, okay, he's getting better. I can see him getting better. You know what I mean? Yeah. Year in, year out. He was playing strong safety last year. I continue to say this on my show. He was playing strong safety these last years. Pete came in here and transitioned him to free safety. Ding, ding, ding. Wonder why he's not playing as well, bro. He's not as rangy to play free safety, bro. That's not his position. But this is Pete. He comes in here and he makes these things happen. Now, you just talked about the linebackers. Beautiful. And you just talked about people flashing across the screen. I actually liked our linebackers at the beginning of the year when we had a Jermaine Pratt. Still wondering what's going on with that, and nobody has answered for that as well. To speak of that, because now I'm looking at him on Sundays flash across my screen, making all type of plays, and he was just here. So it's like, okay, I still don't know. I didn't see that last year with AP, even as bad as we were. As much as everybody wanted to fire AP, I still don't remember this type of friction, this type of ununity in the team. You know what I mean? Like even in. And definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but even in terrible years, of course, we're Raider fans. We've seen a lot of them. But even in terrible years, I still remember a sense of team togetherness, right? I always pull back. I forget what year it was. Maybe 2014, maybe. You can refresh my memory. I think that was Derek Carr's rookie year where we were just god-awful, right? We were god-awful. We had Derek Carr, we had Khalil Mack, but we were terrible. But that was the year, right, to end the year off. That was that rain Chiefs game where we beat the Chiefs in the rain. And I think we beat the 49ers that year. And we ended the year out strong. Even though we were terrible, you started to end the year out and you were like, all right, these young dudes is balling. We got something. You know what I mean? Maybe going to the next year or something. We can't even see the tangible evidence of maybe things to come because we're being so stubborn in that. It's like, and we have players leaving. I still don't understand. What's going on with that? I mean, with the Jermaine Pratt thing real quick, and I do want to move on to Spy Tech quickly. How did you feel about that? I mean, it's still weird to me because we still have no answers. What happened with Jermaine Pratt? We just heard he wasn't a fit, and they tried to quietly move on in the dead of night, and now we see him at the Colts making plays.
Yeah, I think he came in and saw what Amari Cooper saw in a day. Said, get me the fuck out of here. Like, this is not going to work. But I think that where Amari had the luxury of just being like, yeah, no, I'm good, and going back to the house, Jermaine Pratt, and he still wants to be active in the league and play. And so I think that he, I think he got vocal and they didn't like it. And so they shipped him to Indy, So yeah, I think it's just another series of the dysfunction of the 2025 team. And I want to touch on something though that you said, because I think it's a really critical point, is that as dejected as we can be, and this will help, I'll give you a good segue here into your John Spytek question. As dejected as we can be as Raider fans and the way that the 2025 season has went, in 2014, we draft Derek Carr, we draft Khalil Mack, we draft Gabe Jackson. We win 4 games. We start off that season 0-10 and beat the Niners, as you mentioned there, to finally get the ball rolling and win a game.
Mm-hmm.
You could see the seeds of success, and compliments to Reggie McKenzie and the further along I've gone in this Raider journey post Reggie McKenzie, I understand that he had some questionable drafts there towards the end. But the bottom line, though, is that he drafts Derek, he drafts Gabe Jackson, he drafts Khalil, then ultimately drafts Amari Cooper and signs Michael Crabtree, signs Kelechi Osemele, signs Rodney Hudson, builds an absolute wall of an offensive line in front of Derek Carr. And all of a sudden, that 2014 team turned into a 12-4 team 2 years later. And if not for Derek breaking his leg on Christmas Eve, we're beating the Texans in round 1 of the playoffs. And guess what, Raider Nation, like, that's the best Raider team that we would have seen since 2002. So these things can turn around, 100%. But there are certain pieces that you have to invest in to be able to do it. And so when you continually invest in these Band-Aids, we can't ever get there, and it loses quickly as a fan base. And I think that that's a critical point, is that people that are like, no, you're just going to do, doesn't matter what they're going to do. You're going to get all mad and you're going to, be all frustrated 4 games in next year too. No, I won't. I watched Derek Carr lose 10 games straight, and I still was encouraged because I could see the seeds.
Man,
what are our seeds now? We don't have any. We got 4, as we mentioned. We got 4 seeds, and 2 of those seeds are getting up there a little bit. So, that until the Raiders, acquiesce and go down that path, then it's hard to get hope and get excited about this football team.
Hey, you talking about seeds? Shit, they still seeds. They got to be bearing some fruit as old as these seeds there are at this point. I need something because we starving out here. For me, man, I'm definitely with you, man. I'm definitely with you. I think but the formula, right? You see the formula, and this is something I've preached for years. I even argue within some of my my little group chat about it constantly, where it's like, it's time to take that leap with a young coach and a young quarterback again. It's just time. It's time. It is what it is, man. I know a lot of people get scared because they're like, man, you know what I mean? You need this, and that. The mountains need to move and stars need to align, and you need to see volcanoes erupt in this area for you to get a quarterback. But for me, bro, like you just pointed it out. We went 0-10 with a rookie quarterback, but still at that point we had hope. Right, I treated that Chiefs game in the rain like it was my Super Bowl. I said, "Oh my God, we just beat the Chiefs in the rain with a rookie quarterback." Oh my God, like you know what I mean? I was on cloud 9 at that point, and to end the season, I saw it. I'm like, all right, we invest, we have something at least. It's tangible. I could feel it. Now, for me, right, the last time we did this, we have a young GM now, though, right? And you segued it with Reggie McKenzie. We have a young GM now, and for me personally, I know a lot of people get mad at Spytek this year. Personally, my opinion, I'm not too mad at him. And the reason why I say that, and I'm gonna let you go in on your Spytek rant, I don't think that him and Pete are fully aligned. I don't think they are fully aligned. And the reason being, I look at Spytek and the moves he made. He made moves to me that signal like a GM that thought, yeah, this team ain't close to no playoff caliber team. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, as much as all of us want it to be, we're not there. So let me go ahead, save this money, right? Because that free agency class that we were just like you just mentioned earlier, right? You perfectly mentioned Trayvon Merritt getting obscene amount of money, right? Where it's like, all right, we probably ain't gonna pay all that. You know what I mean? And there's certain guys that are getting paid amounts of money where we're like, we're still ways away from being a playoff team. We can't probably pay these big chunks of money to these guys right now. So I understand that. You draft guys that need development. You know what I mean? They can say whatever. I'm still iffy about the first round pick, but it is what it is, right? So going into there, I feel like Spytek made moves that was like, okay, like we're not close to being a super playoff team, but let me make moves to save money, get us prepared to make pushes later on down the line. You know what I mean? So when it's time and moves are available or we got to do some things, we're going to do that. Now, there are definitely probably some steps along the way he could have did better. Kappa is definitely one, things of that nature. But what are your feelings on John Spytek and the relationship and synergy between him and Pete Carroll?
I think here's why I don't hold him accountable to those things, is because I think those are Pete's calls. I don't think that I think that if you got John Spytek, in a quiet, honest moment, I don't think he wanted Geno Smith to be his quarterback. I don't think that he wanted Alex Kappa on this football team. I don't think that when you look at Pete's guys, the guys that don't have to compete, I mean, why would you want that as a GM? You just saw your predecessor and Tom Telesco get fired after 1 year for not getting a quarterback. And then, and why, when AP, one of the big reasons that AP got let go and Telesco got let go, they came into that season saying, we're not doing Band-Aids anymore at quarterback. And then what did we have? We had two, and Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. We had two Band-Aids. So, and here we are with Geno Smith. He's another Band-Aid. And we were told he wasn't. We were told that, Geno's going to, be this and be that. And especially Geno indoors and all the things that were sold to us over the experience in the offseason. And none of it came to fruition. So, but that wasn't because of John Spytek. I genuinely believe that. I think that's Pete Carroll. And I think that when you have a seasoned guy like Pete Carroll, who's been in the league for a literal lifetime, or at least been in professional and collegiate football for as long as John Spytek's been on the planet at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I think John Spytek's pretty much. And so, when you look at that, so I think that Pete's opinion and Pete's resume carried a lot of weight, and I think that he got his way. And I think that when you look at these older coaches, going back to the days of like Bill Parcells, who famously said, if you want me to cook the dinner, you got to let me shop for the groceries. He wanted to be the GM and the head coach of a football team. And so with John Spytek being a first year general manager, I don't think that he had enough juice to be able to override a Pete Carroll, which is another reason why I think that the Raiders need to have a youth movement and bring in a younger head coach. And then definitively, 100%. And this falls on leadership, and this falls on Mark Davis. Here's another segue for you as we could continue up the ladder.
Yep.
I think that it's important to empower people in the positions in which they are responsible for. I have a passion for leadership in my life. I'm far from an expert, but it is what my degree is in, and institutional leadership is something that I'm very passionate about. And I do know this, at the absolute bottom line is that you have to be able to empower your constituents to achieve their own successes. You can't thrust your thing onto somebody. Instead, let me lift you up. Let me build you up. Let me share my vision. So here's the vision. I'm going to share the vision of what we want this team to look like. And then you go out and you source what it is that we need, the tools that we need to provide that level of success. So if I'm Mark Davis, I'm telling John Spytek, you have roster control. You want to, of course you want to have input from your head coach, but the input you want to have from your head coach is, this is how I want to build the football team. These are going to be the focal points of our offense. These are going to be the focal points of our defense. This is going to be the strategy. All right. Thank you, Pete Carroll. Now let me go and get you the guys that you can coach up to be able to supply you and to be able to accomplish those achievements. So you have a cascading series of people building one another up to enable their own successes. So you have the GM acquires the talent, the coach coaches them up, puts them in a position to be successful. The player is then successful. And then ultimately the scoreboard takes care of itself. Because if you do everything right along the way, you won't have to worry about the scoreboard, because if you're doing it the right way, you're going to be competitive and you're going to play good football. And so without that freaking proper power structure, and then again, going to the next layer, which let's talk about next, without that, it's a hapless organization. And it doesn't matter if in this case you're running a football team or you're running a hospital or a school or the military or any successful company. Anything in life that is, when it comes to the institution of said thing, has to have a proper, balanced, responsible structure of leadership, and without it, it's going to fucking fail. It's
100%.
undefeated.
100%. I'm right with you, man. I've said it on my channel numerous times, right? Yes, you have a coach that has a vision. It's up to that GM to then go out, right, and make that vision real by acquiring those players, right? Once he acquires those players, now that and then falls right back on that head coach to say, you got to do your job, right? You have to do your job after that. You can tell me your vision and all that, and I'll grab the said players and say extra. Now, there are certain times GMs have a vision of themselves, right? And then there's sometimes a coach has to, again, walk that line and say, I have to do my job and be a coach, right? Coach those players up when there is development that is necessary, right? Like this year, right? Where a coach, where a GM can say, I have a vision for this team right now, right? We're ways away. Certain times I need you to develop these players right now. Right now, that's not what we're doing, right? We're not implementing that vision. We're not developing these players. So I'm 100% with you. So I think we're kind of in line with Spy Tech. And this is where I'm glad we kind of segued into this, because we're going to the tippy top, right? We're going to the ladder. And personally, again, when we go down to it, right? We'll say it at the end, whether we think which chain needs to end. Now, this last one here up the ladder, we know that it's not so easy to say, well, fire, Mark Davis and all that. So, you can't do that, right? So, of the two, we have a choice and can say that. But now we're up to tippy top. And for me personally, okay, this is where now we can have this is where the meat of the discussion will be. Now, we talked about Mark, and I'm fully with you. When we come to, you have to make jobs clear. And I feel like in the McDaniels thing, we clearly saw that's what he did not do, right? Either way, regardless of what it was, you had two different people saying two different circumstances to cover their ass. McDaniels saying that, oh, I didn't know how much control I had. Ziegler saying, I don't know how much control I had. That's on you, Mark. You clear and make it clear from the jump, right? But this is where, baby, I feel like blame needs to be shifted to this individual, and we need to be pointing this light. I'm looking at Tom Brady this year. And there's some people that look at me and then say, well, it's his first year. I mean, what is he supposed to do? Well, what the hell do you think he's here for? Mark hired this man because we all know Mark don't know everything about the football operation that he should, right? Why the fuck do you think Brady's here in the first place? If that's the case, Mark would continue doing business like he's been doing, just doing whatever, right? He brought Tom Brady in. Now, we've highlighted everything that Pete has done this year, right? And what Pete has made tangible. Let's not forget plan A, which plan A was get Ben Johnson, get Matt Stafford, and that's what you roll with going into this year. That's what Brady wanted to do, right? And when those things fell to the wayside, we now had to scramble, go to Pete, and now we're on plan B, and this is what plan B is. First, this is where I'm at. I feel like if we were 8-2, we'd see Tom's pearly whites plastered every which way across the screen. NFL Network, ESPN, the Tom Brady effect, all can do to a football team. For me, now that we're 2-8, we don't hear not a thing. Mum's the word from Tom Brady. Everything's denial. I'm not a part of this draft process. I wasn't part of this. When you've clearly been outed multiple times to say that you're here because you need to be here for football operations. That's just what it is, dog. So personally, I start to get sick to my stomach when I hear him on his broadcasting thing right now. And I hear him doing all these things. It's like, hey, dog, you out here perusing and you having a good old ass time. Like your team not 2-8 and you not attached to a product that's a losing product. I don't give a fuck what it is, bro. You're the greatest quarterback in the history of this game. You're the greatest winner of the history in this game. And you telling me you cool with walking around smiling in everybody's face and your team is 2-8 and everybody telling me your team is garbage? But if that's the case, bro, then we definitely got Michael Jordan on our hands for real. You know what I mean? And everybody, if you don't understand that reference, Michael Jordan as a player and as an owner are two different people, way two different people. So for me, I think blame needs to be shifted there. Now, what would you say about Tom? What is your thoughts about Mark and the organization at the whole? Because right now, we can't change that. And if Pete gets fired, if Spytech gets fired, we're right back to the same fiasco. They're the people that's in charge who need to make this right. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so number one, Mark Davis isn't going to sell the Raiders. I mean, we've seen those comments enough where it's just like, he needs to sell the team. Well, that's not going to happen. So
it's never happening.
I call it mental masturbation. Don't think about things that aren't going to get you anywhere, man. Like, don't worry about it. And so that said, being that we know Mark's not going to sell the team, I think that would be important. So then to go back to the power structure conversation, it'd be important for him to employ a director of football operations. We know Sandra Douglas Morgan, the president of the team, has the business side of the Raiders on lock. She's amazing when it comes to the things that she is responsible for. She is absolutely incredible, perfect for the role, and an absolute, you couldn't have a better ambassador for the Raiders to the business community of Las Vegas than Sandra Douglas Morgan. 100%. So the end. Okay. Now 100%. Let's do that for the football side too. And Mark can just hang out at Aces games, or Mark can just hang out in the booth or wherever else, not the booth, the suite. And he doesn't have to worry about the football business side of the team. So that said, it can't be Tom Brady because Tom Brady's part-time, and Tom Brady is not going to quit his Fox gig because Tom Brady is going to acquire as much cap. Hear me on this, Raider Nation, and let this one sink in, because here's the reality of it. This is what we're going to be. If I can live long enough to see it, here's what's going to happen. Tom Brady is going to acquire as much capital as he possibly can to turn around and invest it in the Raiders. Right now, he's got a 5% stake. His buying group, along with, I think it's Tom Wagner, whatever the other guy is, they have a collective 10%. Tom Brady's 5% of it. I think it's Tom Brady's ambition to acquire as much of the Raiders as he possibly can, because Mark Davis does not have an heir. And then at the time which Mark Davis either secedes responsibility of managing general partner, or sorry, but we all got an expiration date, sadly passes away. May he live a long life. But should he pass away or something like that happen, I think Tom Brady is going to assume control of the Las Vegas Raiders. I think that's his end game. That's his long-term plan. His short-term plan is to make as much money as he can. His short-term plan is to not be the director of football operations. Well, and so this is where lies the complicated power structure of the Raiders, and where they are continually failing is that you've got Tom Brady, Mark Davis, Jim Gray, who is an advisor to Tom Brady, right? That Jim Gray, the sportscaster, who I can't stand. I've always thought he was a weasel to begin with, but you've got him. We know Mark has a relationship with Jim Gruden. He tried to bring in Marcel Reese. He's tried. You see where I'm getting at? There are so many voices in Mark Davis's ear. And while I'll give Mark props for this, he recognizes that he's not a football guy, and he's willing to turn decision-making over to people that are. But when you turn it over to everybody, you have such a lack of faith in your ability to make football decisions that you're bringing in so many people. Then it gets too convoluted, and there lies the reason that we have so many questionable decisions being made, because this call was this guy's, this call was this guy's, this call was this guy's. It's all over the damn place. This is why you need a singular figure that is full-time. So not Tom Brady with one toe dipped in the pool, but I'm talking about somebody that's going to cannonball their way into the Raider pool, take over and funnel everything through that one person. Who that person is, I don't know. And that's a conversation for the offseason. Should the Raiders be faced with anything like that? I don't know who it would be. I'm sure it could be Tom Brady, but again, he's not in a position yet to take that on.
He would have to. Yeah, he would have to. For me personally, I've been saying this for the past maybe 2 weeks. He'd have to quit that Fox gig. There's no other way around it for me. I'm not going to take a lot of things serious until he quits that Fox gig, and that's not to say it's an ultimatum, because of course if you're in the position to feed your family or feed yourself, however you're going to do it while you're alive, I'm going to do that. I mean, it's simple as plain. I mean, I'm getting paid a lot of money to just sit in the booth and talk about football. Of course I'm going to do that. But at the simple plain fact of, we're Raider fans, right? We don't care about that. What we do care about, and it's not fair, not saying it's fair, but what we do care about is the success of the team, right? And what we see right now is exactly what you're saying. One toe in, one toe out. We're double dutching right now, right? Okay, yeah, I want to play the Fox gig. I got to play the role because there are certain things I can say that I am a part of that I'm not a part of, right? Like maybe the NFL draft, right? There are multiple times where the coaches say they've talked to you, but he has to deny that maybe because of maybe some obligations here or some obligations there, right? So it's like, okay, what we need though as a team and as an organization is exactly what Murf is saying. We need somebody that's all in, that is there day to day, that can see the bullshit that's happening day to day and understand, like, no, this shit ain't right. This shit's not right. We need to fix this. We need to acquire talent here, and we need to do these things. Right now, what frustrates me is that we hear stories of Tom being frustrated. We hear stories of this and this, people not liking this within the building. But I'm like, Tom, it's a simple fix, dog. That's you. You can't just hop in and out, because I think that's what he thought he could do, right? That's probably what he thought he could do coming in. Remember, this is his first year.
I agree.
So it's his first year. He coming in first year. He probably think, oh man, I could do a little secret meeting with Matt Stafford here, and get this pull here and all this. And he quickly understood. Yeah, that shit don't go like that, big dog. I even said, and you can tell me if you agree or not. I even said, right, there are probably some people within the business side or within the operation side of the NFL that has seen you win for so long that don't mind giving you the middle finger in this side of the football operation and shit. Probably don't. I'm gonna be real with you, dog. They done seen you win and you seen all this winning and you're respected. But at the end of the day, bro, it's your first year. Now you telling me you're an owner of this rival team. I'm not finna, you know what I mean? I'm not finna give you all this extra respect just because you're Tom Brady. That's just my personal feelings on it. Now, I mean, I know you got to go soon, so you could close this out with your remarks, man. I mean, how do you feel the Raiders can be fixed? Do you think going forward, right, what do you feel about Pete? Should he come back? Should Spytech come back? What should be done about this team going into the next thing? And shout out to everybody. I'm going to give some shout outs to everybody in the chat once we get to the end here.
Yeah, I don't want Pete Carroll to come back as our head coach. I think that ship has sailed. And anybody out there that says like, oh, you can't just be one and done with another head coach. Yes, you can. When you're this level of an abject failure, yeah, you can move on. Like in business, and let's not make any mistakes about it. The Raiders football is a business. And so when it comes to a business, you don't lean into things that aren't working. You move on from them. And I think that all you got to do, anybody that was watching, I'll say this in terms of what we need to do going forward. So let's like, how do we fix this? You asked, right? So how do we fix this? I think that it is really important to, number one, employ the proper power structure, empower your general manager to be the damn general manager. Okay. If you're not going to hire a director of football operations, that at a minimum, you hire the GM to be the GM. Then you have to invest in an early round quarterback. Derek Carr was, as we talked about earlier, second round quarterback. They built an absolute wall in front of him. 2 years later, we were in the playoffs. The formula is there. You don't have to look any further than the game that was played tonight. What did you have? You had a first round quarterback, high level talent, regardless of what you feel about Caleb Williams coming out of SC. You paired him up with a young, offensive-minded head coach, and they've won 9 out of their last 10 games, including freaking, taking out the Super Bowl champs today. Like, the formula is there. You match up a young, offensive-minded head coach with a top pick at quarterback. It's okay. We'll take care of the offensive line. We don't have to have all those building blocks in place first, because the most important building block is quarterback. It's the most important position in the entirety of team sports. And I understand that it is a crapshoot, right, but so is every draft pick. So Go ahead and invest
Thank
in
you.
the most important position in all of sports, and then build out from there, assuming you have found your guy. That's the formula. And Raider fans that are like, well, how did it work out the last time we drafted a guy in the first round? Look, remember Jamarcus Russell?
Hey, bro. Oh my God, I hate that argument. I hate that argument.
It was
Murph. It gets on my nerves.
20 years ago. It was 20 years ago. Come on, man. Like, are we really going to let that level of history
That shit
inform
gets on
our
my nerves,
present?
man.
Like, it's annoying as I'm with you. It's an
Thank you.
obnoxious point. Like, no. And I'm of the opinion you draft and you swing on quarterbacks until you fucking hit one. Then once you hit, then you can worry about it. Because and I'll give you the last part of it too.
Yeah.
When it comes to team building, quarterback is the most, once you have an elite quarterback, guess what, guys? It's the most expensive position in all of freaking football. So when you hit on one, like Caleb Williams, right? They've hit on Caleb Williams. Commanders hit on Jaden Daniels. And you go through the hit, whatever, all the quarterbacks that have been hit on recently. When you hit on those, now you can overspend on other positions of need because you don't have to pay your quarterback $50 million. Why do you think the Chiefs are finally starting to fall off?
Thank you.
Why do you think the Ravens are starting to finally fall off? Because they can't keep up with paying these guys $60 million a year. Dak is probably the one exception this year because they're starting to bring it back around, but he's the exception, not the rule. The rule is, though, is that you get that rookie quarterback. And I did a study a handful of years ago. When you look at all the Super Bowl winners, the majority of them had one of two things in common. Number one, it was Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. So you had guys that were already made all the money in the league they needed to make. They were willing to take team-friendly deals and allow the team to build around them. The other one was rookie contract. Ben Roethlisberger, freaking, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, like whatever. Like you start picking off all the guys, Eli Manning, like the guys that were on rookie deals were the ones that were winning championships, or the cagey veterans that were Hall of Famers that were willing to take team-friendly deals. So one of those two things are what the Raiders need to commit to. Now, we don't have the luxury of a freaking Hall of Fame quarterback that's going to take a team-friendly deal to come play for the Raiders. We already had that opportunity in Tom Brady, and John Gruden shot it down. So what's the most viable option, especially when you've only won two games? Draft a fucking quarterback early in the first round, the best one available, and watch your freaking season start to turn around when he's coupled with a young offensive-minded head coach. The examples are so prominent in the league, and if you disagree, fine, but I can't do the math for you. The math is done. The formula is there. Let's just go and execute.
There and three things for you, because I know you might have to get out of here soon. Three things, and that's beautifully said. Yeah. Beautifully said. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you get on out of here because I don't want to hold you up, right? Definitely on the family time and the Thanksgiving time. But I definitely appreciate you for tapping in with me, David, man. Definitely appreciate the conversation. It was a very dope one. Man. Anything you want to say to the people before you do get on out of here?
No, just say enjoy the weekend, celebrate this time with family. And I'll say this, man, as bad as the Raiders can be, the number one thing I always lean into in times like this is that Raider Nation has never let me down. When you look at your chat, you got Van City in there, Reese Rock, what is that? Picker is in there, Sacktown Raider Mike, Dre's and you guys, man, like I love Raider Nation so much. And if I had to just go and do Raiders shows based on my current level of fandom for the team, it would be really hard. It'd be really hard for me to get on these microphones and talk about the performance of Geno Smith or, the way 100%. That the offensive line is being executed or where none of that stuff, it drives me. What drives me is the interaction with Raider Nation. I think that we are, obviously, I think we're the best, NFL, if not sports fan base that there is. But the level of investment the Raider fan has is absolutely above and beyond any other fan base. You can't get over on us as Raider fans. Like it doesn't matter if you're a fan of another team or you're the Raiders themselves and are trying to feed us a bunch of bullshit. You can't get over on us. And we are such a tight-knit unit. When we say Raider Nation is La Familia, that is not a joke. And so I can't, express that enough, that when it comes to Sundays or Mondays or Thursdays or whenever the hell the Raiders are playing, I will always love getting together with my Raider family and sharing that time, even if that's just sharing Twitter shit or hopping on here on a show like with you. And thank you for having me once again. But like, these are the things that really drive me and keeps me connected to this sport, because if it came down to just the Raiders on the field, my old ass would have been checked out a long time ago.
Hey, you ain't lying, brother. You ain't lying. It's a tough one again for sure, man. But it's people like you. You know what I mean. Hopefully, I keep growing. But people like us, that we continue to do this thing and maybe help some people with the therapy going through, man. But we definitely appreciate you for showing up, man. Go ahead that time with your family. Thankful for the conversation, man. And we will definitely tap in with you again, man.
Absolutely. Look forward to it, man. Thank you again for having me, and congratulations on the growth of your channel, man. Hope you get that $3,000 tonight.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. Much love to you. Man, so look, hey, that was Murf, man. That was Murf from Raiders Fan Radio. As y'all can see, man, had to go ahead and dip out. But I appreciate everybody for being here for the channel, man, being here for the show, man. It was a very, very interesting conversation. That last little bit of convo that we had with Murf right there, that really surmised it all, right? When you talk about where the Raiders are at, what we can do to get better, man. 3 things for me to close it out. I've always been about drafting the quarterback, bro. I mean, ever since I've started this channel, it's always been draft a quarterback. It's about that time this year. It's time for us to go ahead and find us a franchise guy. Even if we don't find it, right? I know a lot of people get scared about, oh man, what if he's not the guy? What if we suck again? This is the same position we've been in. We've been trash. You know what I mean? We've been ass. You know what I mean? So even if we don't find a quarterback now, you get in a position where you draft another one. We in the era. We've seen the Josh Rosens. We've seen the Justin Fields, where people thought they've had a high quarterback. You drafted a high quarterback and you go back and select another one. It happens in today's NFL. You can do that. People talk about the offensive line, right? Murf just eloquently put it about the Bears. Bears just built that offensive line through free agency. That wasn't through the draft. And that offensive line was moving the defending Super Bowl champions today. And they built all that through free agency with trades and signings. Same thing we can do, right? We're going to detail it. I've been saying throughout, the entirety of the week, take 2 moves in free agency, move a couple people on this offensive line. I think we might have some. Not going to lie, man. So you talk about this offensive line and building that, you can do that through free agency, through signings, maybe through some trades. If you can get down like that in spy tech and wheel and deal. Right. Last but not least, you definitely need to find a new head coach. I look back, a coach I look at, Sean McVay, man. I look at a Sean McVay. Now, obviously, it's easy to say, man, if you had a Sean McVay, you're going to win. But what I mean by that is I want everybody, especially my West Coast people, to really think about what the Rams were before Sean McVay. Okay. The Rams were a fucking laughing stock. Okay, the Rams coming from St. Louis, when they first came from St. Louis back out here, dog, nobody give a shit about the Rams, right? You really, really think back to what the Rams were, okay, and what the fuck they actually, but then when they got McVay, look how it changed, right? When you take the leap on a young coach and you let him do and you let him implement his vision, look what happens, right? Look what happens. You might hit. You look around the league, it's happened a lot of places. I'm not saying the 49ers were trash, but look what Shanahan did for the 49ers, being a young coach, right? Still going there, proving himself, and look what he's done there, right? There's a lot of examples of guys, right? And for my older folks, I'm playing Madden right now, right? So, and it's Thanksgiving, so of course you get the Madden history. For my older folks, one of our most successful coaches in our history is one coach that was the youngest coach to be hired at the time in John Madden, right? Formula's there. The formula is there. You just got to follow your formula and hire a coach, man. Hire a young coach. Let him get his quarterback, and we go from there. So before we get out of here, man, before we do anything, I want to go ahead and show love to the chat real quick, man. Like I said, usually I'd have all my fancy buttons. I'd have all my fancy artillery with me. But right now, I am in a different locale. So right now we're gonna go through the chats OG style, man. We got Sean Fuentes in the building, man. Appreciate you for tapping in, man. Always tapping in on X2, man. Always interacting there. So appreciate you for tapping into the show. Thank you for being active in the chat as well, man. Definitely means a lot tonight, man. It's Thanksgiving weekend. Y'all could be doing anything, but you're here chilling with your boy, man. So definitely appreciate that. My guy Dre for show in the building, man. What's going on with you, big dog? He says, go get Mendoza and fix our offensive line in free agency. Talk that talk. I mean, look, right now it looked like Mendoza, the surefire guy in the first round. Who knows about Ty Simpson? I've heard rumblers he might go back. Dante Moore, rumblers he might go back. So right now he looked like surefire. So if that's where you at, you a top 2 pick or whatever, right? And you there, bro. Take your guy, bro. Take your guy. And he definitely need an offensive line, but take that, build him up. There we go. Death Pile, what's going on, man? Appreciate you for tapping in with the show as well. He says, hopefully Dante Moore comes out. Agreed. I think personally, it depends. It depends on that playoffs, right? If he has a good playoffs, I think he might come out. If it's bad and he's like one and done, we might see another year. Sacktown, man, what's going on with you, big dog? Appreciate you for tapping in, man. As always, Reezy Rock in the building, man. What's going on? Draft 2 QBs this next 2 drafts. I want a competitive. My bad. These words are small, and I ain't got my damn glasses on. I'm getting old. I want competitive fire from the jump. No more handing the mantle. I agree, bro. Everybody gotta work for their keep. No bullshit when it comes to the compete story, right? We actually are competing in here, so I 100% agree. Zay, man, in the building. What's going on? Kubiak or Shula as head coach for me. Them the best right now. I agree. I like that. You talking about Clint Kubiak, and you talking about Shula from the Rams. I'm there. I like that. Now I do like a guy from the Vikings and West Phillips. Now the Vikings are kind of being a little iffy right now. So those are my top 2. Those would be my top 2 for sure. Man, Van, man, appreciate you for tapping in and becoming a member or subscriber to the channel. Your rundown, first show, but you've got real flow and knowledge, my brother. Glad I subbed. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I really do appreciate that, man. Trying to make this the best Raiders show I can. As we grow and continue, man. Look, again, if you're new to the channel, we on the push for 3K subs before the season ends. Well, we got 6 games left. We got what are we at? I don't even know how many subs we have now. Last I was at like 29-10, something like that. So let's get up there, man. Let's keep creeping up there. I appreciate everybody that is tapping in, though. If you're on Twitch, if you're on YouTube, thank you. Man, Chili in the building, man. What's going on, man? Appreciate you, man. My guy, Dogtown Raider. He says, hold on, give me a second. Goddamn mouse on here. Dogtown Raider says, Raider Nation knew the season was going to be a shit stain when they moved to Meredith to center in preseason. Yeah, pretty much. We all knew how bad it was and experienced center last year to start the year. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie to you. That was the first sign of despair. That was the first sign of despair for me. When they was moving that offensive line and doing things that made no sense, I was like, all right, now it's starting to look shaky around here, man. It's starting to look real shaky. Hold up. I see my guy in here. I can't pass without saying what's up to my guy, Yoshi. What's the deal, man? What's going on with you, big dog? Ain't seen you in a minute. Appreciate you for tapping in, man. Appreciate it. My guy Dre says, how ass are the Raiders right now? Meg the Stallion ass. Type. You know what I'm saying? Meg the Stallion. Not even that. Right now, we Zion levels of nasty right now. What's that one old girl name that Zion was messing with that she had that nasty that nasty shit she was carrying back there, whatever that is. You feel what I'm saying? That's where we are. That's exactly where we are. All right. We're not even Megan. It's worse. This shit bad, BBL bad. I ain't gonna cap to you. What's going on, man? Who else we got in here? Zay says, I go Brian Flores, a head coach, too. He probably pulled Josh McCown or something for the Vikings. I'll be real with you. Before I went Brian Flores, I would go Robert Saleh. I know it might not be a popular opinion, but, we don't get no Shula. We don't get no, if you don't get no Kubiak or anything like that, I might take a shot at Robert Saleh. They already talked to him already. I ain't going to cap. That might be a direction I'd go. If I'm not mistaken, was he the one that took the shot on Zach Wilson? Now, it didn't work out. Didn't work out. But, shit, at least he's willing. That's all I care about. At least he's willing. I'm tired of these coaches not willing to pull the trigger, bro. We need quarterbacks. I don't know what they keep trying to look. Tired. Sick shit. Yeah, sick shit. Yeah, that's where I'm at, too. Let me see, man. I can't see the name. Hold on, man. I really do need glasses, bro. I'm getting older. It's crazy, bro. This shit is crazy. The older I get, the worse my eyesight is. Mr. Dorian, what's the deal with you? He says, we should have drafted Sanders and invested in the O-line. Conversation for another day, my man. Conversation for another day. Sadly, that wasn't the direction we wanted to go in, right? Tom wasn't involved in that one either, right? Remember? Tom said he wasn't involved in that, and he wasn't involved in that process. Whoever was involved in that didn't want Shador or any competition for Geno Smith. Man, Reezy Rock says, coaching gauntlet, solid head coach, OC McDaniels, DC Flores, all need to prove themselves. I like it. Wouldn't be mad at it. Now, I don't think Mike McDaniels is getting fired no more. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I think they keeping him over there in Miami. If he were to get fired, I'm with you too as OC immediately. Daboll is another person. And I don't know if anybody has him on his radar. If Daboll is still looking for OC jobs in the NFL, he's another one that I look at because to me, he knows how to spot quarterback talent. Right? It's proven with his ass. It's Josh Allen, Jackson Dart. Like, bro, he knows how to spot this quarterback talent and develop them pretty nicely. Right? Develop them pretty nicely. So I wouldn't be mad at Brian Daboll as well if that was the case, bro. Sean Langan, man, in the building, man. Appreciate you for tapping in. He says it was the Jets, the only team run worse, the Raiders. Yeah, pretty much. From top down, like that's the only team that's pretty much worse than us is the Jets, to be honest. I'll take Daboll as head coach. I don't know, Dogtown, about head coach. OC, I like for sure. Oh, head coach is a little bit of a stretch, but we'll see because there are some unproven guys I probably take a shot at before I did that. You take a shot at before I definitely did that, man. But appreciate everybody that did tap in, man. It was a great, successful night. Beautiful conversation with the people, with y'all in the chat. Beautiful conversation with Murf. So before we get out of here, y'all know how we ended. If you're new to the show, then you're definitely getting your first taste of it. We end the show with a little. Man, we end the show called Rundown, man. Basically break down Silver and Black Bow, wrap it up, right, on what we talked about, what we are doing going forward, man. Basically, the state of the Raiders is ugliness. Is this breakfast 2.0? Probably. Tell you the truth, we have a coach that says he's surprised at the outcomes of these games, meaning that he's putting his all into some of these efforts and is producing. Right? We got blame game going on. We got ununity within the locker room. We got guys fighting, bickering, arguing. It's a very ugly season, bro. Very ugly season. Only thing that makes it easy is that we have each other to get us through this bullshit. And that's exactly what we'll do for the remaining 6 games. So again, if you're new to the channel, man, make sure you tap in. I usually go live every Wednesday, 6 o'clock Pacific time, man. So make sure you guys, if you want some more just solo content, I usually go live talking about the Raiders that day. Usually on Monday as well, we'll go live 11 o'clock Pacific time as well after games. Kind of, give a little rundown on, the game that we just saw on Sunday as well. So if you guys want some more solo rundown content and some more of the network, make sure you guys tap in with the subscribe button. Also, if you want some college ball talk, we just started a new channel for the Rundown Network, right? Started a new channel called Rundown U, right? If you need to find the channel, it's called Rundown U CFB. Again, that's Rundown U CFB. That's where we talk about college football over there mainly, right? There's no primary Raiders talk. It's just it's college talk, man. We reacted to games, having fun, having a good little time, bro. Get our minds off of this bullshit dribble we talk about with the Raiders constantly. You know what I mean? So that's where we're going to do a lot of college breakdowns over there, college reaction to games, especially when the draft time comes. We're going to be prospect evaluations all type of stuff over there. And of course, we're gonna be doing draft and prospect evaluations here for the Raiders. On this channel here, we're gonna do more specific evaluations for the needs of the team. Right on that channel over there, we just gonna be talking ball, man, having fun, looking at players, evaluating shit. So gonna be a real fun time, man. If I'm not mistaken, shit, I might be live with the guys in a couple of just a little minute. So make sure you guys, if you want some more rundown content, you might be in luck tonight. So hit all them buttons, and you know what I say every time I'm getting ready to end this thing out, man. We keep it authentic from the clouds to the ground here on the Raider Rundown. I appreciate y'all. Much love. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thankful for y'all in the chat, and I'll see y'all next time.